think it's going. We got the 30-second delay. I don't have chat. What's going on? Why don't I have chat? I'm going to try. Am I going? I don't know. I have no idea. More than loyalty. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, hey, look. It says 7 people are watching me. I'm going to go into reverb mode here and see if I can't get chat up so I can communicate with y'all. What's going on? Why don't I have chat? Let's see. So I go here. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go pop out chat. Okay, I got one. Am I going? And I'm closing this window. I don't know. It's not letting me close that window. More than loyalty. Okay, let me come back out to the studio. Cool. Got the stars for you, at least. I got some chat over there. It's kind of behind things. And good morning, good morning. Blessings upon everybody. May my thoughts come clearly to you today so you might understand what it is I'm telling you. I have to say, hope you all had a great first week of the year. And again, thanks for joining. I'm going to let the cat out. It's dawn right now. It's 20 degrees. I killed a jade plant because it was like 80 yesterday and I left it out. How does that work? I don't understand. But the Hindu Kush, they're surviving out there. I'm going to see if I can pull that back up to the surface. And it kind of hides me a little bit. Great to see you guys. Let's see. I see Squishy Mirror is talking about NIH document titled Cannabinoidal Inhibits SARS-CoV-2 Replication. That's another show. I'll take a look at some of that. Thanks for pointing that out. But there is a lot of things that go on in the lung, and that's kind of one of the things I'm going to hit on, or really want to hit on today, is what's going on in the lungs. And so, like, I started administering cannabis as a medicine in the mid 80s, and there was very little that we knew about. And I can see my house from here. That's in the chat. That's funny. But one of the big things was the debate over what it does to your lungs, right? And so we had there was one professor at UCLA studying the effects of smoke on the lungs primarily, but he was like the one guy that we really had information from back in the day that we knew about. And the biggest thing I remember, and I was started looking for this, and I'm gonna have to look further to see if I can't find it, but I remember it was how do I put it? He was talking about smoking, and people who've smoked chronically would understand what I'm talking about when we have lung expansion. Okay, and not every cannabis plant does this, and it does it in the bong really well. It kind of replicates like you might feel like you're having an asthma attack almost, right? Well, the one thing I remember, and I didn't have enough time to really research this, or I didn't spend enough time. I should have spent more time looking for this to present it properly. Was I recall him saying back in the mid 80s was that that condition literally would acutely reverse an actual hardcore asthma attack as it was happening. Okay, and I know this sounds totally counterintuitive and everything, just like the but when I'm I want that'll come back later here in this discussion, right? So a lot of the stuff that people were frowning against were saying that smoking, and we still say today that smoking is bad for you. It's not good on your lungs, and it causes different stuff that's not happy with what's going on. The science has progressed considerably since the mid 80s, and they're still looking at this stuff, and it's like, yeah, it might contain some carcinogens, but for various reasons. There does seem to be a change in morphology in people's lungs that smoke a lot all the time. So there's different ways of administering the cannabis, right? And it does different things when we administer it in different ways. And so a lot of the effects that they're studying are long-term heavy use effects, right? So like I was born smoking tobacco, and I smoked up until I was 26, 25. But, I quit at 4:20 in the afternoon one day and was riding up a ski lift and threw my cigarette off and lit a joint. And I've not smoked tobacco since. I can't smoke blunts. I don't like being around tobacco. Bronchodilator. Yes, that's exactly what I'm alluding to. And I couldn't, I want to find that, and we might find it here as I searched through. I brought up several pages, Dr. Taskin's work and such. It's a vasodilator as well, right? So it opens up bloodways with the proper THC CBD ratio. So we touched on that last week, right? And I brought in making the different, we were talking about different forms of administration with very small quantities of THCA or THC delta 9 doing different strong effects for people. And so hitting it right, like in this particular instance, I'm alluding towards the cystic fibrosis, okay? And so in that particular disease, see here, I'm going to go ahead and bring up some screens. And so I'm going to bring things around. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and transition there, but I don't think that's what we have on our, oh, it is. Let's go ahead and look. I got the right one? No, sorry, I'm going through my daughter's Snapchat got disappeared, and somebody kind of ripped us off. Dr. Taskin's. Oh gosh. Oh no, we're out over here. No, I'm sorry, I got this stuff all over the freaking. Here's one. Okay, so what terpenes open the lungs up? What is it that causes the vasodilation? And so quite often it's the pinene that we're going to find in there that's going to do that. And I think you all should be seeing that at the moment. The name gives the terpene away. Pinene is found in pine trees, produces that same crisp, similar scent. So you can use this as a essential oil as well. Like I use it to, and I'll just wrap it on my forehead a little bit once in a while. Okay, so where the heck is the page I'm looking for? No, not this again. Not this again. I'm sorry. I thought I had this stuff all brought up to the forefront. And here we go. Okay, so cystic fibrosis. It's caused due to a genetic defect. Symptoms include difficulty in breathing, coughing, and poor growth. Cystic fibrosis cannot be cured. Several treatment options are available, help manage symptoms and reduce complications, although incurable medications help in managing symptoms. I'm going to bring the chat up if I can. Yeah, sorry. I can't spell. I'm highly dyslexic, and I didn't have a chance to go in and correct in the studio spell checker. So I will fix that. Appreciate in chat pointing out I can't spell for shit. I know that. I made it through college though. The professors realized that doesn't affect my ability to understand what we're talking about. It just whatever, my brain is wired weird. I can't, let's see, I can't read what I'm seeing there. So symptoms, cystic fibrosis affects cells that make mucus, sweat, and digestive fluids. These fluids are thick in CF patients and cause the blockage of ducts throughout the body, leading to a range of the lungs and digestive system are the main areas that are affected. Symptoms may appear soon after birth or in early childhood. In rare cases, they are not manifested until adulthood. Okay, so that reminds me of one of the other things I wanted to bring up about. So when we're looking at different types of cannabis and what we're treating, or how we're going to treat it, or if we're actually using a plant, or if we're going to use extracts and apply specific amounts of different things to our patient's medication. Okay, so we see pinene helps open the lungs up, but like limonene, like for me, causes severe cotton mouth and drying of the ducts, right? And so that's one you want to avoid because it would have a antagonistic effect on the system. So, but some of these things that we see is persisting cough with phlegm, postnasal drip. So, and again, postnasal drip is cleared up from the limonene. And so possibly a direct application instead of into the blood, but as a nasal mist. All right, sinusitis. And there's these different stuff that's going on, right? That you would look at, and how do we go ahead and in the form of inhaled therapy to improve lung, like cartridges for vape. I found an obscure study that seemed to be kind of repressed, but looks like I'm having connectivity issues. I found that the stuff, the carriers that they use for vape cartridges, whether it's just like flavor vapes or whatnot that the kids use, or some people were utilizing, and I employed it to work in the super cold. Was it's the I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't even think I was going to come to this. So what are those called? PNGs? No. They're this carrier. They're from the food industry. They're clear fluids. But anyhow, the freaking one of them was like an antibacterial, and the review I found was saying that like by now, and so this is like 8 years ago or whatever. By now, we would have all of our vaccines and all of our medications would be administered through vape pens utilizing this stuff because it's an antibacterial. And I could run down in the garage and grab a bottle of it and see the name. But I can see the bottles. I can apologize. PG, PAG. I'm sorry. Anyhow, yeah, I think you might know what I'm talking about, and it'd be an easy thing for me to do the search here. But so anyhow, as an antibiotic. Okay, so cannabis can be an anti-inflammatory, and that's to help to keep your lungs open. Right? We have pinene opens up the lungs as a vasodilatator. Right? Mucus thinners, and that's when I'll ask about. But bronchodilator, right? So we know the cannabis can be a bronchodilator, and so it's a matter of finding the proper way to apply. Right? A whole nother one, oxygen therapy. I think everybody should. So these are the thought processes that I like to think about when we're looking at what it is, these different things cystic fibrosis suffers. Despite the lack of research in some areas of cystic fibrosis and medical marijuana, there's sufficient research on medical marijuana for other diseases to support its use for cystic fibrosis sufferers. THC is the cannabinoid often associated with relief from cystic fibrosis symptoms. But again, so it doesn't say how people are using it there. Here's a whole thing on medical marijuana for cystic fibrosis for doctors. And it says we may find some relief. Here's some stuff probably on Reddit, maybe, but cystic fibrosis symptoms were helped by my edibles, cystic fibrosis. So there's a whole bunch of questions again, and so it says there's probably groups on Facebook, and so here's a PubMed. Let's take a look at what they've got. usage and attitudes. Shrink again. Let's see what's going on. Medical marijuana and cystic fibrosis is unknown. Through the use of a survey, we aim to clarify rates. Methods anonymous survey was sent out. Okay, so a total of 637 surveys. This is what it says. So they sent out to 6 centers in the Mid-Atlantic region of the United States. Use and for medical, not necessarily cystic fibrosis patients. Or was it? It doesn't say that in the methods exactly. So yeah, the title is cystic fibrosis. So that's what it is. Results, 28 out of 31. So the most common indications were for pain and stress. 28 out of 31 found marijuana to be great, effective. See, 31. Pretty simple. Conclusion: the use of medical marijuana for reasons was 15% in the past year in the sample of CF population. So not many people are trying it. So there's not a whole lot to see what's going on, right? But the majority of people who are finding relief from pain, particularly, okay? And so all this stuff I'm talking about is probably not even thought of being, I'm looking at the different aspects of the plant when you have these different types of, when we have these different perspectives and understandings of the complexity of the plant and how antagonize or synergize when you utilize the knowledge and understanding of the terpenes in the endocannabinoidal system. All right. So talking about normal. I am completely abnormal because I don't have a single tattoo on my body. Let's see. Oh, you guys didn't get to see that. Here we go. I'm going to go. I think I have. There we go. Transition. Oh, it's not even going. Why isn't it going? It's not going. I don't know how to get that one. Let's get this one going. No, let's go. Scene. There we go. All right. Oh, transition. Okay, I'm live there. All right. What's normal? I don't have any tattoos on me. I have scars inside. I have no spine like a 90-year-old. That's normal. Was it normal for me to go hike up the side of a mountain yesterday and slide down the frozen face on 2 sticks attached to my feet? It's about all I can do. That's what I live for primarily. Is my normal is to go skiing. Most people pay for a pass, and I don't need no stinking lifts. No, that's the wrong thing. THCA is a substitute for steroids for inflammation. No, man. Okay. So squishy mirror. Yeah. THCA is like one of the best. I've been preaching this for years. It's the best anti-inflammatory, like minute amount in the topical. I showed this last week. Behind the magic curtain is my topical. You can see it's so bright because it's mostly coconut oil. And you just see a little bit of green tinge to it. I wasn't getting the other playing the non-cartoon character filter cam to work. Let's see. I'll try that again. It's not. Anyhow, yeah. So that's like a teeny amount in there, THCA with chlorophyll and everything, and it totally does amazing anti-inflammatory and what for not, and utilizing it orally, THCA is the bomb, right? And so the majority of people who are taking edibles are consuming baked goods, right? And that's got Delta 9. And so there's this whole other world that people just don't freaking catch as to what's exactly, why am I not moving? Trying to move the screen around. There we go. Read you guys. Yeah, the prednisone is like not even like a painkiller, and they totally freaking. It's like I think Canada is one of the worst places for it, but there's a ton of people here in the States that that are using it for a painkiller, and it's just It's like, no, you should be doing like yoga on some of this stuff and THCA and THCV for your nervous system. And then applying the terpene ratios that you understand we're going to work a lot better. Balm of Gilead. So, right. Even better. I really want to see if I can get this filter turned off here. What's going on? I'm just not sure why. Because I want that. Okay, wait. Let me try this. Where'd it go? Is that seen? That's seen. All right. Let's deactivate. That's what I got to do. All right. So then I got to go. Filter cam should be. No, it's not. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get this to where I something's messed up here. Anyhow, this one here is the cannabosin oil. All right. You can see down the bottom, it's got a heavy glob of stuff in it. And what that is a mixture of cinnamon. There it is. Frankincense, myrrh. It's in virgin coconut oil and olive oil. And this one can be taken as an edible. There's also, it's probably a 5% by weight with the black hash oil or raw fico. This one here I heat up though so it's activated. And this has got to be one of the most potent medicines I've ever created. I hardly use it. When I'm really sick, I'll take a couple of drops of this. But this is what is proscribed by Yahweh, or however you want to pronounce it, or whatever you want to call the God of the Old Testament, to create the holy anointing oil and the part of the preparation for the Holy of Holies and being around the Ark of the Covenant and everything was this very similar formulation to what I'm utilizing here. And it's kind of the same stuff. I believe that the Jesus of Nazareth was using to heal people. That's all just, backing up there's some Jewish scholars. They're hardcore dudes about their history and faith, and they're all about the etymology. And I'm about the etymology. If you followed my shows or go back to watch the beginning, entire paradigm shift is talking about word structure and origins, and the etymology of the cannabosin and the sweet cane, and the translations through Latin and Greek out of the old Hebrew. And the sweet cane, and they're saying, no, this is cannabis, and there's no two ways about it. And that's what these guys aren't potheads. They're not trying to advocate marijuana or getting high or dabs or anything else like that. They're just saying this is the actual word translation and where they screwed up over time. Okay, and this is however it became to be known as the devil's lettuce is just beyond us, because of the fact that it's truly just this is something that's been around forever as a medicine, and all of that splat and boop. Anyhow, so yeah, that's a great formulation. Again, it's an antimicrobial. It's that's the frankincense and myrrh are incredible antimicrobial, super potent, and they kick in all of your body enzymes and just all your entire system. A couple of drops of this stuff, and might just go whoa. All right. So those are good things to touch in on. Of course, all organic if you can make it happen, and what for not. Let's see. Where was I going to go now? I'm going to go back to. I'm going to bring the web browser into the queue, and I'm going to see about bringing up. Let's see. Let's take you back over here. We're going to look at a couple of little historical neat things here. If I can bring it up. Let's see. Use that. All right. This one. Here we go. Cool. All right. I'm going to do a little review, and I just did a quick review of this one. I don't know if I've seen this since the 80s itself, if even. Here we go. Cool. So they've known it's medicine for a long time, and there was like This is originally like I believe Nixon started these research, and he knew this stuff was good for you. And it's kind of screwy that they went ahead with their war on drugs and said, no, we're going to use this as a political ploy to be able to get. And so, let's see. I wonder if I can do. I want to close my page down and leave this open. See if I can't pop that up and shrink you down a little. I'm just arranging my desktop so I can do all this at once. All right. So what do we have here? Marijuana research findings in 1980. NIDA. We all know about the horrible, and they're still using the same weed they grew back then, right? Some names: Goldstein, Jaff, Jones, McLaughlin, Mendelson, Nolis, Robertson. I was looking for, like I said, the research from Traskin showing about vascular dilation and helping. U.S. government does not endorse or favor any specific commercial product or commodity trade, or proprietary names appearing in this publication are used only because they are considered essential. And we're not going to look at a whole lot of this. Forward, 1980 Act marks the 10th anniversary of the Marijuana and Health Reporting Act. Right, so for 10 years, Nixon totally started this in 1970, which called for the annual reports for the Congress on the health consequences of marijuana use. The letter transmittal accompanying the first marijuana and health report expressed the conviction that the reports would prove to be valuable tools in public education debate concerning the health impact of this widely discussed drug. 76th edition of the mandated report for Congress and the public. The National Institute on Drug Abuse published a monograph intended for readers who wanted to pursue the subject in great depth. So they have an audio. This edition reports through 979 have been reviewed by 8 scientist authors. Care has been taken in reporting. So if you don't know, this is supposed to be government propaganda against cannabis, okay? But it was also like, you can't hide the truth. So we're just going to look at the context here real quick and roll through it. Marijuana and health, executive summary, nature and extent of marijuana use, survey update, human effects, therapeutic use, effects of marijuana in combination with alcohol and other drugs, hazards of marijuana versus other recreational drugs, future directions, human effects and overview, the drug botany and chemistry, assay techniques, dose considerations, general skull effects, respiratory and pulmonary effects, neurological effects, cannabis and psychopathy, a motivation, couch lock, tolerance, independence, and references. Okay, well, it's like we all think this is all like new research, and they're just hiding it from us for a long, long time. Gosh, I had it set up where I could. Oh no, I need to set it up so I can do this. You guys can see my ugly mug while I'm talking too. Acute effects of marijuana on human memory and cognition, cognitive task and retask, marijuana intoxication free recall, marijuana intoxication free recall flowing, non-drug learning, intoxicated learning. What's the difference in getting high and not getting high when you're studying for college? Recognition memory. Oh, they didn't do it with coffee. I found a great effect of coffee makes a huge difference in there. Let's see. I can bring my chat up. What's good? People chatting like crazy. Talked about Atlantis in the chat. Epic. All right. So, here we are. There was a big one. They used to want to say that made you sterile to smoke cannabis. Effects of marijuana on the. Because I remember that. I remember in DARE. That's one of the most memorable parts of growing up and going to junior high school was health education from physical education, and they did like 10 days or 2 weeks of DARE, and they'd show us videos of of hippies like playing volleyball, and the women didn't have their shirt on. They told us it was men who grew boobs, and that the that the fat guys were women with hairy chests. And all right, so this will be interesting to see. That's on page 137. I almost want to skip down there. Let's see, can we skip down to 137? This is just fun. 137. Interesting to see what they say. Oh, we got a few more pages here. A few more pages. All right. The effects of marijuana reproduction in the years since effects of marijuana reproduction. Let's see. Bat and mouse testes response. List of species studied: rats, dogs, pigeons, and humans. The effects of marijuana are observed in all phases of reproductive physiology, including decrease in the weight and functions of the organs associated with reproduction and decreases in hormones that control the development of the fetus. These changes may be caused indirectly by alteration of circulating hormones in blood, directly by an effective physiology active ingredients in marijuana and reproductive structures, or by a combination of both, and indirect. It's funny. Because I tell you what, it didn't stop me from getting someone pregnant. I seem to be much hornier under the influence myself, and etc. There are other reports indicating the quality of sperm is affected by cannabinoids. The semen of mice treated with THC. They were doing 5 and 10 milligrams per kilogram for 5 days. So they had CBD 10 and 25 milligrams. But think about that. 5 milligrams per kilogram. Could you take 5 milligrams per kilogram of your own body weight? So if you weighed 100 pounds, that would be 50 milligrams. There's someone to oh, I can't remove that. Someone needs to remove that. Yeah, 100 kilograms would be, that'd be, yeah, 50 milligrams. That's a lot. Not micrograms. So yeah, you take that much, and that's going to mess you up. Doesn't matter what it is, who you are. Anyhow, that's not what I was after today. Let's look at some more of this. Okay, I'll use. I really wanted this to smoothly flow today, but no, Alex is a bumbling idiot. Let's see. We were just going through. There's okay. You can see some of the heavy dosage they're putting to mice, 10 milligrams per kilogram weight. Effects on cannabis in combination with ethanol and other drugs. Therapeutic aspects: open-angle glaucoma, asthma, anorexia, nausea, vomiting, and cancer chemotherapy, irradiation and anorexia nervosa, epilepsy, retardation of tumor growth, antibiotic action, anti-anxiety and sleeping-inducing effect, muscle relaxant, pre-anesthetic, pain, depression, alcoholism, and drug dependence. I mean, that's the stuff that's like, the majority of this was focused on, we're trying to prove it's a bad drug. The first 185 pages. And here we've got the last 15 pages dedicated to why it's being a scheduled drug is totally unconstitutional. Let's take a look at that, though. What did they say back in the day? summary. 12 categories of symptoms or of disease states have been considered in relation to a potential ameliorative effect by cannabis or one of its derivatives. To summarize the state of the art insofar as the cannabinoids' role in therapeutic agents is concerned is difficult, but an overall impression will be attempted here. Not only the effectiveness of the drug, but also the need for new treatment products will be considered in the evaluation. Glaucoma. An acceptable topical preparation will benefit certain patients not helped by the conventional medications. It will have to contain less than 0.5% delta-9 THC. A superior synthetic analog may be found. So anyhow, that's saying how small of a content that can help glaucoma patients. Asthma. Elucidating the mechanism of action of the cannabinoids be more important than attempting to produce a non-irritating. Elucidating the mechanisms of action of the cannabinoids be more important than attempting to produce a non-irritating aerosol. Whatever that means, I'm pretty sure it's saying it helps asthma patients, which I was alluding to earlier. Antiemetic. It appears that cannabis has a definite but not invariable anti-nauseant and anti-emetic capabilities. It is at least comparable to our standard anti-emetics and may offer relief to those who are currently not benefited by them. So a combination of cannabis plus standard drugs used for vomiting should be tried in future studies. And so that's what I first used it for, treating seasick cancer, seasick landlubbers out on the fishing boats in 1985, was to stop them from throwing up, and it, calms so much of your nervous system. Epilepsy, cannabinoidal, CBD, derives further clinical trials for humans. So I didn't even know about CBD really until the mid-90s, I don't think. This stuff was all hidden from us. Tumor growth inhibition. Although of interest, it does not appear that the cannabinoids will make a contribution in this area. What may be concerned, so we need to go back and look at what the studies were doing. What may be of concern is that tumor growth inhibitors are invariable cellular toxins to normal cells, depending on the dosage, since they interfere with cellular metabolism. Therefore, delta-9 THC should study further for possible cytotoxic effects in dosage levels used by humans. And so that's one thing that I definitely have always stated, that we knew back in when I first in 86 treated somebody for cancer with, they were receiving chemotherapy, and it was to smoke some cannabis to feel like a human being instead of death rolled over, and to help with not throwing up and to actually want to eat something. Topical antibiotics. The earlier Czechoslovakian work requires confirmation utilizing double-blind procedures. Anti-anxiety and insomnia. The cannabinoids seem to have sedative hypnotic activity. They're inconsistent and not comparable to existing medications for that purpose. Sometimes paradoxical anxiety and panic states intervene. And that's, we have a way better understanding with the different chematography, the different terpene profiles and stuff than we did back then, right? Yeah, so someone in chat saying when a third of a gram, that's pretty strong. That's not too much. Thanks for the math over there. Apologize, my poor math at the time. Looking at chat, we have someone saying 6 milligrams per kilogram is 60 kilograms per person. 360 milligrams, it's 0.36 grams. And their dosage rating was 5 to 10 per kilogram, and 5 to 10 milligrams per kilogram on the mouse trials. And let's see. Someone, T-Man, is stating, when I learned about CBD, I wanted to avoid it, but now I like it. And yes, we were breeding against it because it kept you from getting high when you smoked the flower. And most people were buying for recreational smoking in the 80s and 90s when a lot of this breeding took place. And then we found out, like, hey, there's a little bit over here, and they bred it back in. Thanks to the help of a lot of folks. All right, so I was reading these ones that they were looking at back then in the day. Anti-anxiety and insomnia. Again, we've learned so much more about terpenes and how the synergies of the terpenes and the CBD, et cetera, works together. Muscle relaxant. The work is quite preliminary. The effort to determine whether cannabis or its derivatives can make a contribution to the man. And so we now know that like mycene is definitely can create an analog muscle relaxant. They're pre-anesthetic. Does not appear that they have any future in this indication. And again, they had no clue what the THCA was back then, I don't think, right? And so as a painkiller and anti-inflammatory, pain, unless new synthetic compounds are found, it is difficult to believe that the available cannabinoids can compete with current analgesics. And so they weren't utilized. Delta 9, I've said this time and time again, Delta 9 will make you friends with your pain, but it's a THCA that actually kills it. The combinations there's also dabbing. They didn't have any way to know you could take those kinds of quantities. It's the different kinds of pain, right? Nerve pain with the THCV. And they didn't want to find out. Health is more, someone in chat says, health is more than THC and CBD, like feeding plants is more than NPK. Yeah. Industry jargon can't. So much of my shows, go back and watch all my shows from the beginning to end if you don't catch what the most real feel has to say right there. Somebody that's Tony or not, I doubt it could be, but let's see. So yeah, let's see. So back here in the conclusions, depression. This indication has not been convincingly investigated, and no conclusions can be drawn. Again, we find that has to do with your terpene profiles, right? If you have depression, you don't want to be couch locking. You want to be up and joyous, and THCV in there and things like that. THCV also helps with they don't mention anything here with the THCV and metabolism. THCV, like now we know, helps diabetics, right? And so this is 1980. Here we are 40 years later, and even after the war, the plant's winning. Alcoholism and drug dependence is not likely from the work available. The cannabis group will make a substantial impact in treatment of the alcohol or drug dependent person. It actually does do quite a bit, replace the alcohol dependency, replace the habitual. We all know we have plenty of these high mycene drugs, Kush strains that are excellent opiate replacements. I say I breed opiate replacements, and a lot of the Breath of Dragon series is specifically that. What year is that one, Soul Seeker? Is U.S. patent 6630507B1. THC is an antioxidant. Actually, so that one is CBD is an antioxidant and neuroprotectant, right? And that's early 2000s. It doesn't have THC, I don't believe, on that one. Some people are just about the high, but it doesn't realize it's working for you, or inebriated, you noticeably like the THC. One thing is the high is it's anti-anxiety, and so it's medical for everyone. That's why should we be low? What's the point in everyone being low all the time? Why is being high a bad thing? Let's see. So with the cystic fibrosis, though, what I was really looking for, and I came across that stuff, was I was looking at Dr. Traskin's work on lungs. And so wait, this one here I think is effects of marijuana smoking on lungs, and this is from 2012, I believe, and some of the accumulations of a lot more advanced science. And again, I was looking for some of his work on the vasodilation he did in the 80s. But reading through this real quick is the abstract. Regular smoking of marijuana by itself causes visible microscopic injury to large airways that is consistently associated with an increased likelihood of symptoms of chronic bronchitis that is subside after cessation of use. On the other hand, habitual use of marijuana alone does not appear to lead to significant abnormalities in lung function when assessed with other cross-sectionally or longitudinally except for possible increases in lung volumes, and modest increases in airway resistance of unclear clinical significance. Therefore, no clear link to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease has been established. Although marijuana smoke contains a number of carcinogens and co-carcinogens, findings from a limited number of well-designed epidemiological studies do not suggest an increased risk for the development of either lung or upper airway cancer from light or moderate use, although evidence is mixed concerning possible carcinogenic risks of heavy long-term use. Let's see. Although regular marijuana smoking leads to bronchial epithelial cilial loss and impairs the microbicidal function of alveolar macrophages, evidence is inconclusive. So what that says is chronic smoking kills your ciliary, and those are the little teeny hairs in your lung ways that help push phlegm to the forefront when we cough it up, right? And then macrophages is like your large cell white blood cells and such that are your disease attackers, okay? And so this is for chronic consumption, right? I consume half a gram, and my greatest quantities was up to 6 grams a day, right? And I know people say they smoke a whole ounce a day, right? And that is chronic consumption. Okay, so taking a bong load or two of small size to effect bronchial dilation, to counteract a blockage of phlegm. I actually do this with severe, I'm going to change, let's see. I do this with severe, I have an acute sinus infection issues where I have the synergistic antagonistics cause a massive blockage in particularly in my left sinuses. And I've had them do MRIs in my brain to be sure I don't have brain tumors because of this. And as I learn more and more and more, there's a histamine response and things like that. But because cannabis can be such an expectorant, and I don't know how else to put this, there are certain strains that I can use to completely push the shit out of my system by taking a large bong load myself, okay? And it sets off the full, just you get an increase in all of the fluids flowing through your body, right? And so but it's not every strain. And so this is kind of stuff I'm pointing to with cystic fibrosis. There is a possibility where actually taking a bong hit might possibly, I'm not saying this is my conjecture from having a vast array of knowledge and looking at the situation. All right. I'm not saying go out and do this. I'm saying this needs to be looked at and could possibly be something that helps. And again, it's not going to be every single kind of plant. I remember Dr. Transky saying back in the day that particularly it wasn't what I try and maintain the difference in sativa and indica, because back when this was looked at, it was very, very different in the responses that I got, for instance, for people on the folks on the fishing boats, right? They would get sicker. But if I gave them the sativas, the tropical stuff that came to us in the press weed, that stuff made them stop throwing up immediately in 2 or 3. I saw that reading the information. They didn't understand one way or the other. And what were they growing for NIDA to research is just crap, right? They're still using the exact same shit, and it's all moldy and stems and leaves. So it kind of sucks that way. And it requires more than just people saying, I'm breeding a medical plant and I'm going for 40% THC. Because that's not, like, we can make extracts and do all the THC Delta 9. You don't need a plant that goes any higher with that. We need to find, like what I showed from the fella in Australia who got a hold of the hardcore, which is a modern polyhybrid back crossed into a gone feral ancient land race. Okay. And so what do we get when that happens is a guy who hasn't been able to hold his hand still for 20 years now is able to read a book and write and hold a pencil and draw things and got 20 years of his life back. Okay. And then we need to figure out exactly what it is that's going on in that plant and identify that, and whether we keep it in a plant form or if we can titrate that in for specific needs for people's nervous issues. Okay. Life is fractals, in and out. Sublinguals is a great way for it to get into the system. This is true. Sprays, drops, etc. All right. So I'm going to go back here. I started rambling, and we're going to go back into the web browser, though, and finish up with it. So I guess the other thing I was going to hit on there is we do know now that there is some antibacterial, and I was talking about the carriers, the PG and the PAG. I'm sorry, that's the PG 300. So I'm sorry I was stumbling on that shit earlier. That's how the brain works sometimes. But those are those clear carriers for vaping that I was talking about. They're antibacterial, antimicrobial. And if we can apply these effects from the cannabis along with a vape cartridge carrier and you're vaporizing it, you don't even have smoke, and you can still get that release of phlegm and the increase in fluids and the expectorant that goes on with it. So usually when I was discussing, I've got to do a whole lot. I got to drink some water. It helps me immensely to clear my sinus and everything. But I had to stop drinking all alcohol because of that, unless I take a pill beforehand. So the evidence is mixed concerning possible carcinogenic risk of heavy long-term use. Although we really don't know, it doesn't show up that, people with, I don't know people who get lung cancer. You don't hear about that. Regular marijuana smoking leads to bronchial epithelial cellular loss, impairs the microbial function of alveolar macrophages. The evidence is inconclusive regarding the possible associated risk for lower respiratory tract infection. Several case reports. So for me, with that stuff, I stopped sharing my pipe in the wintertime, and I stopped getting lung disease. Straight up. Like, I'm going to keep wearing a freaking mask in public. I don't care what y'all think. I like being healthy, right? And like, sharing pipe is one of the biggest things. And that's something I think that's confused in long-term use studies and over time with lung disease and issues and colds with people smoking is sharing the pipe. You end up getting bronchial infections from other people. Okay. And when I observed that about 4 or 5 years ago, my winter lung crud went. We used to always get like a 2-month virus in the wintertime from one of the other skiers that you shared your pipe with. And so these are real observations. Again, I'm not doing science on this. It's not necessarily bro science, but it's they're real observations from long term and administering this as a medicine and utilizing it for my own medicine. So I'm down to 6 minutes. I wanted to read the rest of this, see this lung thing. Several case reports have implicated marijuana smoking as an etiologic factor in pneumothorax, pneumoniaism, and bullous lung disease. Okay, so that's what I just said. Although evidence of a possible causal link from epidemiological studies is lacking. In summary, the accumulated weight of evidence applies far lower risk for pulmonary complications of even regular heavy use of marijuana compared with the grave pulmonary consequences of tobacco. So that says, like, it doesn't even compare with tobacco being bad for us. And again, my observations and my understanding of the plant was in total jargon and scientific ease, spit out right there is saying that, don't smoke it all the time, but this might be a freaking cure for people having this issue with their lungs being full of shit from cystic fibrosis. All right. And hopefully the right person hears me. As I know I'm talking to one person specifically, literally the father of a child with this condition, who asked me to help him out a little bit and understand how this plant works. So I get 1,000 views of this, and then the information might go into the right ear, that it goes into the next ear and into the next year and gets to where it needs to be to find the answers. So that's the best we can hope for. And other than that, you were entertained listening to me ramble. And not sure if there was really a whole lot else I wanted to bring up today. Let's take a look here, though, real quick. And look at the chat. We got Loyalty Brian posted and AJ on the studio view, and chat's rolling through. I have no idea how many people are watching live right now. AJ's on both sides, along with Raisin Jane. You got Joshua Patio, Fried Piper, Soul Seeker, Squishy Mirrors in the house. Appreciate y'all. Jamie Reams saying, "Hey, what's up?" What's on the view there? I'm sorry, you guys are looking at that abstract. Transition back to My Ugly Mug, but there was something else I was going to bring up. Let's look at. I don't know if this is going to come up first today. Here we go. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. We'll start right here. Transition back to that one. So this is what we're looking for. We're looking to help people. This is health. My friend has a number of health issues, one of which causes him to have severe tremors in his hand, leaving him unable to do anything, requiring precision, let alone to hold a cup of tea. I give him a hardcore Earth Fuel Pheno to enjoy, not thinking much of it. And he tells me that it has reduced his shakes almost completely. He can roll a joint, play 8-ball, and use a knife and fork. In his words, it has taken back 20 years. This is what makes growing and imagine breeding worth it. And so true. Just so true. Here's today, and coming to a whole new level of understanding the plant and listening to Frenchie and learning from folks, right? I started understanding how to breed a better plant for making solventless extracts. And here's a slurry cane by Breath of Red Dragon, calling it the Red Hots. Results of some of that. I don't know if it gets, this is completely jar tech. Absolutely no heat applied beyond the 65-degree room temperature, and in and out of the freezer 3 times. And I did a quick whip on that to show. But this is from my new first familial feminized of the Breath of Red Dragon, number 13, reversed into a couple of the elite polyhybrids that I found could use some improvement in various levels. So this was fresh frozen, and that's the very best I've ever produced is from the fresh frozen. This is what it looked like a couple of days prior before it really started breaking down. Here's what some of that plant might look like. I wonder. Oh, that's just down. Yeah, this is some of the second wash of that in cabochon, and that's before it completely transitioned. It was just starting to push its terpenes out of it. And the Instagram scammer, yeah, anyone wants to go harass this guy, he charged my daughter $200 to get her Snapchat back and ripped her off. Clinton Tech 78 on Instagram. Anyhow, we're looking at medicine and not trying to hate on anybody. Like I told my daughter how many times I've been ripped off. Like I got charged $100 to have my truck detailed one time, and they charged me $1,000, and I didn't see it for 2 years because I was working so hard making money back then. But this one here it's recrystallized at this point, and where you can see it right now, it's literally just putting off the terpenes and transitioning out, and now it's all recrystallized. And so I'm right at that 1 hour mark, and appreciate you all stopping in. I'm going to go ahead and just keep my time frames intact, and we're going to sign out. Appreciate you. Have a great day. Peace out, guys.